Live from Studio B, welcome to Rotor Talk Live, your weekly home for the latest consumer drone news, rumors, reviews, and tips. Since 2017, we've helped drone fans stay on top of what's rumored, what's flying, new specs, features, updates, and expert analysis. Hosted by Bill the Drone Reviewer and co-hosted by Ron Brown from Drone Nation, we keep you up to date on everything in the consumer drone space.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 9, Episode 31. FCC targets DJI shell companies. Got a full house in tonight. All right, let's see who all's here. Drone Views Media, DD Fellows, welcome. Good to see you. Who else we got? Stinker Pie, welcome. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Steve Porter, Gator Drone. Let's see who else is here. Art, welcome, Art. Let's see. Joshua, welcome. Flying Flint, welcome, John. Good to see you. Waypoint New England, welcome, my friend. Let's see, news all. Carlos Moran, welcome, Carlos. SuperGeodora.ca, welcome. All right, welcome everybody. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Got a real good tech story to start things off with. Personally speaking, but considering really what we do here is a tech channel. I don't know how many of you have DirecTV. What I did was about maybe I would say definitely 5 years ago or so. I was on the phone with them for something or other. And they suggested to me, they said, you know what, we have a protection plan. It's run by Accessory for about $35 a month for all your electronics in your house. Something goes bad, we'll repair or replace them for $50 deductible. I'm just like, sure, why not? Okay. Well, you guys know probably about a couple weeks ago, we had that lightning strike. It definitely was at the house. All right. There was no question about it. It fried my my router. It was gone, and got a new router. Everything was fine with that. But it also hit both of our TVs. The TV in our bedroom and the TV in the bedroom that Valerie works out of when she works from home, okay? The one from the TV in the bedroom right next to me, power wouldn't even come on, okay? Like no even green light on it. And the one in our bedroom, the HDMI ports were gone. We had DirecTV, had a guy come out, and he verified all this. So I called and I filed a claim to Accessory, and they came out. Well, sure enough, all right, they went ahead. Now, these TVs, believe it or not, all right, listen to this. They were manufactured in 2013, 13 years old. I'm figuring there's no way they're going to have parts to replace these things. Well, sure enough, they assigned me to a local repair shop here. Where I live outside of Tampa. And the guy called me up and said, believe it or not, he called me up yesterday, believe it or not, I had the parts, I ordered them, and they came in. I'm like, okay. I'm the most surprised person in the world because I thought, $50 deductible, I'm going to be getting 2 new TVs. Well, he came out today, he replaced these boards in both of them, and they're both working fine now. Go figure. So, I paid that $35 a month. So basically for $100, he fixed both of our TVs. They're both working fine. Now, these are older TVs, and they're not smart TVs like the other ones that we have, like in this room, and the one that we have out in our living room, where you can, Google and YouTube and all that stuff. Doesn't have all that. So, but I thought it was real interesting how, a lot of people say, oh, I never get the protection plan, blah, 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 blah. Well, this is an instance. My wife is now sold for life on these plans because it interrupted her flow, because part of her flow is to be able to watch her shows on DirecTV in bed. All right. Well, we haven't been able to do that for a week because the TV's been out because of the HDMI ports. So HDMI ports got fixed. Boom, she's back. I said the queen is on her throne watching her shows from DirecTV that she records. So she's a happy camper. I'm a happy camper. Got the TV working in her office. It's really a bedroom, but got a TV working in her office. So, and we both thought that one probably wasn't going to work because, there was like no light on there. It was plugged in. We unplugged it, plugged it, reset it, everything. The tech from DirecTV did the same thing. He comes out here. The guy was a whiz. He had his own, it looked like an easel, but what it was it was a stand for the TVs. And the guy lifted the TVs up by himself. It's just like, oh, I don't know how he did it. Probably close to our age, probably in his 50s. Anyway, just thought it was, something to lead the show in with, all right? And just a little different, more different than, just regular stuff here. Okay, actually do have quite a few things to discuss tonight. Ron's going to join me here in just a few. First thing that I wanted to start with tonight was that there's been an update to the DJI Mimo app. So let's go ahead and go. I'm going to go ahead and share this article here. Right. All right. DJI Mimo update brings automatic backups, smarter editing, and new creative tools. The biggest addition is the one that frequent travelers and vloggers will probably appreciate the most. Auto file transfer for the new Osmo Pocket 4P. Instead of manually copying footage after every shoot, the camera can now automatically and silently transfer photos and videos to your smartphone once it's powered off. This means your files are backed up and ready to edit without extra something or cables. Okay, which is incredible. The update also expands features for the company's newest smartphone gimbals. Osmo Mobile users now gain support for 4K Ultra HD live photos, allowing compatible iPhones, iPhone 14 and newer, to capture motion-rich live photos in significantly higher quality. As the smartphone cameras continue replacing dedicated cameras for everyday content, features like this help blur the line between photos and short-form video. Okay, DJI didn't stop with the camera features. The editing side of the Mimo also gets some welcome attention. Creators can now export compatible clips as well as cinematic slow-motion live photos with a single tap, provided the original footage was recorded at 48 frames per second or higher. It's another feature clearly aimed at social media users who regularly share content on platforms that support live photos. Meanwhile, a new preset sharing and importing feature lets users generate a share code for their custom editing presets instead of explaining every color adjustment or filter setting to friends or teammates. Creators can simply share the code and let others apply the same look instantly. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so all right, that's a real interesting update, and it's good that it's good that update is coming, but it really kind of sounds like for the Osmo Mobile, it's really significant, but the Pocket 4P, and we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. So it's kind of like a thorn in everybody's side, so to speak, as far as that's concerned. So yeah, all right. There are some other things. Yeah, this is a good one here. Okay, now we kind of talked. The next thing we kind of actually talked about it a little bit, not much, but there was an article on Drone DJ. And by the way, all the articles I did get them out to Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group, so you're welcome to go ahead and look at them out there. I didn't get them out to the page. DJI's newest gadget may outshine its new camera, and DJI's Osmo Pocket 4 is finally rolling out after debuting in China and other Asian markets. But the camera's biggest talking point may not be its dual lens setup or cinema-grade image quality. Instead, it's a tiny wireless accessory called Frame Tap that could make filming yourself dramatically easier. The dual lens gimbal camera first launched in China in June before gradually rolling out across several Asian markets over the past few weeks. All right. America, okay, and of course we know we can't get it here. Instead of constantly walking back to the camera for setting up a shot, Frame Tap lets users preview the live image, remotely control the 3-axis gimbal, switch shooting modes, and even tap on the screen to choose a tracking subject. Want the camera to follow you as you walk through a city or cook in the kitchen? Double tap your subject on the remote, and the active track takes over here. Okay, that's real interesting. A dual lens setup aimed at serious cameras, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But I just think it's real interesting that they've come up with that to help with that kind of technology. I mean, that kind of sets that Pocket 4P apart, and it's it's kind of making me think, oh, I kind of wish maybe we had access to be able to get them. So But that's a real value added kind of feature, and it's something I would hope that maybe some of these clones, we're going to talk about some of them later, would pick up on, like the Luna from Insta360, and then the Extra Muse and so forth. So, but yeah, I thought that would be real interesting. Paul Murray, welcome. Thank you for stopping by tonight. Appreciate it. Let's see who else. Okay. Oh, go to next here. Okay. Now, normally, it's like, normally if a drone comes out with, it's just a firmware update, yawn, okay? But this is a significant one. It's the Mini 5 Pro, and let me go ahead and share this here. DJI's Mesh Mini drones received a fresh firmware update, okay? Small updates like this signal that DJI is continuing to polish, which is already one of the company's most capable compact drones. If you already own a Mini 5 Pro, the update process is straightforward. Just make sure you're running DJI Fly v1.21.4 or later, since the latest firmware requires the updated app, okay? DJI also notes that the camera settings will be reset after installation, so it's worth checking your preferred resolution in frame rate, color profile, and exposure settings before taking off again. If the update fails, simply restart the aircraft controller and DJI Fly app and try again here. The firmware itself may be modest, but the drone certainly isn't, and it talks about the Mini 5 Pro. And I want to address, I know there's a couple of videos out there right now, and I know Ron may have mentioned this last night. I'm not sure. I didn't watch Drone Nation. But I know Gorilla Man had talked about some people were having some problems with these updates, and it wasn't so much of the updates itself. It was setting up after the updates where the problem lies, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And here's Ron. Hey, Ron, how are you, sir?
Hello, Bill. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. Just getting to that portion where we're talking about the Mini 5 Pro and some of the updates that are going on right now. And one of the things that, I did see that thing from Gorilla Man.
Bill, your audio went away. Bill, you have no audio. Bill, your audio. You have
no audio? Okay.
Now you're back. Now no audio. Nothing, Bill. You're silent. Bill?
How about now, Ron?
You're good.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I do not know what happened. So, okay. Just to kind of backtrack a little bit. I know Gorilla Man had put out a video about firmware updates, and it wasn't so much the firmware update that was causing the problem. It was people making adjustments afterwards. Am I correct in that?
Well, I mean, it's everything. It's he doesn't listen to the firmware update, but he has a long video, long discussion about the DJI RC2, and basically the more drones you put on anything, the more files it creates. It creates all sorts of files, but he thinks flight logs are the worst. And it puts so much information on the controller that bogs it down, and he recommends resetting the cache. But that's not the whole answer either. I don't even, his video is so complicated, I don't even understand the whole thing, but it makes sense that controller, especially if you fly waypoints and do things that's going to create a lot of files on there, it slows it down. So the people that are having trouble with, say, the Mini 5 Pro and even the Lito X1, it's probably not the drone. It's probably not the firmware update for the drone. It's probably for the controller. If you go out and you use your DJI RC-N3 controller with it, I believe you won't see any of your issues. And a lot of his issues is screen recording, things like that only reviewers do. Like the regular person doesn't usually record every single flight.
Interesting. I was just, I saw that and I was thinking about it because I saw this update for the Mini 5 Pro, and and I wanted to make mention of this because I know a lot of people will be very quick to blame DJI, blame the firmware update in and of itself when it's not really the firmware update which is the issue. And you really kind of you really, it wasn't this. The Mini 5 Pro firmware update was a real, a non-event kind of a thing. Fix miscellaneous bugs and updates kind of a thing.
I flew it this morning with the DJI RCN3 controller on my phone, and the update was fine. I had no issues whatsoever. I did screen recording. Blah blah blah. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything different. If you update the Fly app, it adds that button where you can manually turn on and off. What's that feature called, Bill, where it allows you to see out of your optical avoidance cameras?
Oh, I know, but I forget the term. I know exactly what you're saying.
But it allows you to turn that on or off as far as it changing, to the view of whatever direction you're going, if that makes any sense. But anyhow,
right. And I use that. I use that a lot on the Mavic 4 Pro. Yeah, I use that a lot on the Mavic 4 Pro.
And it's kind of been on the Mavic 4 by default, sort of, but now I think it's been added.
Right.
It's
been added exactly. The one thing that I wanted to cover, and this article really intrigued me out of a lot of them here, is it looks like our friends at Hover are busy. And if you take a look at this here, why pack a drone when your gimbal camera can become one? And it's newly unveiled Versa is designed to do both, transforming from a handheld pocket-sized camera into a self-flying AI camera with snap-on propeller modules, and you can see that right here. A pocket gimbal camera first. In standard form, Versa is a compact handheld camera built around a 3-axis mechanical gimbal, delivers stabilized footage for everything from travel videos and family moments to vlogs and everyday adventures. Hover Air says the camera pairs that stabilization with advanced AI shooting features and a new image processor designed to preserve detail in challenging lighting. The company claims Versa delivers industry-leading dynamic range, capturing rich colors in sunsets, city lights, and other high-contrast scenes while retaining detail in darker shadows. The result, according to Hover Air, is a cleaner, low-light footage with more natural-looking colors here, okay? The real difference is what happens next. Attach Hover Air's lightweight propeller modules, and Versa transforms into an autonomous flying camera. Rather than requiring a remote controller or manual piloting, the camera says users can simply launch the device and let its AI tracking system handle the rest. Hover Air says Versa supports more than 10 intelligent flight modes, allowing it to automatically follow subjects and capture aerial footage that would normally require a traditional drone and an experienced pilot. The idea is simple. Start filming from your hand, then switch to an elevated perspective whenever the story calls for it. By combining handheld stabilization and autonomous flight into one device, Hover Air is targeting creators who regularly switch between ground level and aerial footage here, okay? And I'm not seeing here, I did read through this earlier, I'm not seeing anything here about a release date or anything along those lines, Ron. So, what are your thoughts about this?
Bill, Hover does like kind of a crowdfunded thing before
right.
the official release. Now, I'm not saying that's a guarantee on this one, but again, their drones usually go through a couple months of crowdfunding before they release them to the general public without you putting your money down early on it.
Right, and that's probably what it's going to be in this instance. I mean, it's a unique concept, Ron. I had thought that maybe somebody like DJI would have come out with something like this, maybe a couple of years ago. But kudos to Hover Air. I mean, they're kind of thinking outside the box right here.
It's the most interesting concept for a drone I've seen in years.
I would actually like to see footage of it work. I mean, that would be really interesting. I mean, we see some pictures, promo pictures and things, but, pictures are pictures, and, they can come up probably and do some AI video kind of a thing.
They have a little promo video where this girl flies around the room and gets selfies of her and the dog. I don't know how much of that is AI and how much that's a real.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. With AI being prevalent today, I agree. I don't know how much of that would be AI and how much of that would be real as far as that's concerned. But this is something to stay tuned to. I think it's real interesting. It kind of looks, like a pocket-ish kind of camera along those lines. And you know, it's something that's definitely out of the box. I think people would use it, so we'll see where it goes. I'm not
I mean,
not
but
a,
what we know is, they've released the Hover, the Hover Hover Air X1 Pro and Pro Max have been out probably for 2 years this fall winter, and it's a great little follow me drone on par with what DJI puts out or whatever. In fact, I guess maybe they were first. So I got no doubts that the drone is going to do a good job of tracking and doing its auto modes. But how good are they going to be with their first attempt at a pocket camera? Now I know it won't be on a par with the Pocket 4 Pro or the Luna Ultra because it only has one camera. But will you be on par with something like the Pocket 3?
yeah, it will probably be. My guess is it would probably be equivalent to like the Pocket 3 in terms of the quality that you get from the video and the stills on it and the features and capabilities. I would think so.
That begs the question, Bill. Okay, that Pro Air Max drone they make, even if you buy like not a big bundle, it still costs like $600-700. Now you add a pocket camera to it. Are we talking about a drone that's going to basically a little follow me, a selfie drone? It's going to cost over $1,000 in a non-Flymore bundle or whatever, and with a Flymore combo pushing $1,500. Is that really going to be something that? How many people are really going to spend that kind of money for this? I mean, it's a great looking setup or whatever, but can they deliver it at a price that's going to sell? Because I don't believe Bill, the hover I can't say Hover Air Pro Max 1. I mean, I don't know one person in the community that paid for it with their own money. Everybody I know has got it sent to them. Like, I don't know how popular that drone really is, because again, I don't know anybody that paid out of their own pocket for that thing.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing, Ron. It's like, it's a really neat concept, and I'm sure they'll probably get it to where it works, but I think their price point is probably going to be, it's going to be like, wow. Most people are going to take a real hard pause for something like this and say, all right, it's an autonomous drone, okay, it's unique, we give it that, but for that kind of a price point, wow. I mean, that kind of price point, if you were crafty enough and worked your budget enough, you could probably get a like a Pocket 3 and then maybe like a Mini 4 Pro or something like that, and to be able to duplicate something like that
or
for probably less than the price of this.
Yeah, I think a Pocket 3 now is a little over $400 now, general price, and you could go out and get a Neo 2 for whatever I mean, if you don't need all the controllers or whatever, like $300. So right there, you could buy the Pocket and Neo for like maybe $700 price point or whatever. I mean, I know it's not all one device, but still, I mean, how much more? How much? I mean, I'd like an all-one device, but I'm not willing to pay like double for it or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it right
folks,
now.
We're just speculating here. It may not be expensive. We're saying here. Maybe they can find a way to cut corners. Maybe that pocket camera can be good, but not great. Maybe Bill, what would they have to deliver that Versa at? What system? What price point would they have to be under to have people really go out and buy it aggressively?
I would think they would definitely have to be under 1,000, more towards like 750 for something like that. Because I think once you get over $750, you're starting to talk about like Mini 5 Pro territory, about being able to buy one of those, and that's getting a little on the pricey side. Plus, like I said, if you're crafty enough, you may be able to buy and negotiate well enough. You could probably buy a Mini 4 Pro and a Pocket 3, and for probably both under $1,000.
And most of them are kind of niche items. I mean, action cameras are much more popular than pocket cameras. So I'm going to call the pocket camera kind of a niche camera. And those little fly out of your hand selfie drones, they're sort of niche products also. So you're combining two niche products or whatever. So I mean, it definitely has appeal, but will have a wide enough appeal to to really be a mass market item.
Yeah, to really make an impact, Ron, it's gonna need to be priced about $750, I would think. All right, or less. because if it's over that, it's people are just going to shut it down. I mean, it just totally. I mean, and you know, in the I don't want to say, the interesting thing is a captive audience right now, because you know they're not on any ban list as far as I know. So you know they can put a product out there and have it come into the United States. But the problem with that is if it's priced wrong, I don't care what's going on with the markets. Okay, it's just not going to sell.
And Bill, just a little clarification here. Aren't all non-American drones not getting approved for FCC? I think it's all non-American drones.
I think you're probably right.
So
but
if this is any part of this is a drone, it probably won't get an FCC license.
We'll see. You know, it has to be on that covered list, and you know, that covered list now, it's like kept under lock and key, and you don't really know what's on it. And I wish they would publish it somewhere. I don't know if there's a link available for that somewhere. If somebody knows of that, definitely you know, throw it out there in the chat for sure, or email myself or Ron to let us know. But I don't know of any link to a quote unquote covered list so we can see what's actually out there, which is a shame because we should be able to do that. That shouldn't be a problem. All right, we should be able to see something like that.
I mean, if they're doing all this stuff too, so they might as well be upfront about it.
Yeah. And you know, we're at the part of the show we're going to be talking about, you know, the FCC and DJI and everything.
My buddy Brandon Carr.
And your buddy Brandon Carr here. And the first article that I wanted to talk about was from Drone XL, and this was a doozy. Okay, ex-DJI executive warns the FCC drone ban buys American makers time, nothing more. Okay, and you can see, of course, this is an old presentation when the Mavic Air originally came out. And Perry sold America on DJI before joining the companies built to replace it. And the article gets into that. The ban settles the security versus price fight American buyers keep having. All right, restrictions turn a system advantage into borrowed time. Drone XL's take on it, and DJI is a proof it won here on product and price, and the American operator pocketed the difference. The December 22nd covered list sweep reverse toupees. The time Washington is buying for domestic manufacturers gets billed to the fire department replacing a thermal drone, and the farmer shopping for a sprayer. Perry's most useful line names what the money cannot buy. The FCC's own fact sheet celebrates more than $4 billion flowing into U.S. drone production since December. Capital has arrived. Hardware that matches what it replaces at a price an operator can defend to a city council has not. The gap is the entire assignment and no docket behind it. All right, and it's a good article. It's one that I highly recommend that you read. I don't want to spend a great deal of time on it, except to say here, all right, you know, it really kind of spells things out on the pulse and what's going on with everything here. And I want to make you all aware of it. Again, you know, that's education. You know, one of my wife's favorite sayings is education is knowledge, and knowledge is power. And when you have that, you're enabled to know what's going on. And you know, whether you can do something about it or not, I'm not saying, but I think it pays to be informed, it pays to have knowledge about this, and it pays to know what's going on. Now, the second thing that I wanted to kind of talk about right here, all right, and let me go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here.
The knowledge part of it comes in, like, you know, if you could track it back to who put these people in charge, you could not vote for them in the next election.
Exactly. Okay, and we have primaries coming up here in Florida in August. We have primaries coming up. I wanted to talk about, you know, one of the big things right now is the FCC is going after these shell companies from DJI, and one of them is Extra. And I wanted to do a little bit of a walkthrough here. All right, we're going to look at the Extra Muse, and then we're also going to look at the action camera just here, just to talk about. All right. And in terms of a price point, I mean, this is close to, it's a Pocket 3 is what it is, and it's not far away from the price of a Pocket 3, all right?
Bill,
And
that camera there was $329 last week, so it's going up for some reason.
it's gone up. Yeah, I did see that. You have that here, all right, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here.
And at $329, that was a heck of a deal because, like you said, it's a Pocket 3 clone, and it's selling for like $100 less.
Exactly here. Now here's their answer to the Osmo Action 6, I believe. It's the Extra Edge Pro for $269. I mean that's a very good price as far as prices
Now,
are
Bill, is
concerned.
that the clone of the Action 6?
That's a clone of the Action 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. Is in terms of pricing. Now you can see there's not a lot. They don't have a lot of combos, adventure combo, and all this kind of stuff. And I wanted to talk about some points here about, and I'm pointing these out, and I'm also going to talk about a little bit about Sky Rover as well here. And let me see if I can bring that up. I just want to get that up here too because. All right.
So Sky Rover's prices are still incredibly low.
Right. Sky Rover's prices are still very good as far as that's concerned as well too. All right. And I think I want to set a baseline here. All right. These products in and of themselves, especially, I'm going to be focusing right now. This part of the conversation will be on the hardware. All right. I don't think there's any question about the integrity of the hardware with almost all of these all of these DJI knockoff companies. All right, there's no question about that. And the pricing is good too. I mean, for what you're getting for this, comparably speaking, this is probably comparable to a Mini 4 Pro. It now has a controller with a built-in screen that looks like just like the 2, as far as that's concerned. It comes with that. Some of the things that you really need to ask yourself regarding things like this, these are it's just a random order here, so bear with me here. Number one is accessories, especially things for here like batteries for this, propellers. Those are the two items that are probably the most wear and tear on a drone and will need to get replaced eventually, and the availability of them. All right, and you also look at accessories for the Muse and for the whatever their action cam is called as well too, and you don't find a lot of them out there. All right, now I imagine things, and this is just I don't know if things like the camera cages would be transferable to them or not, so that's something you also have to take into account when you're looking at purchasing something like these. All right, I think that's important to understand with that. The big thing with this, and I think Ron and I kind of touched on it probably last week or maybe the week before, is the firmware updates and DJI backing them up, or the shell company being able to back them up, and I think that's probably the biggest concern at this point is, will with the FCC going hard after these DJI shell companies, are they going to shut them down to the point that they don't have a capability of doing firmware updates for these devices, or being able to offer accessories? So, you're left with something that's maybe half useful or 3/4 useful. I don't know, Ron. I'm just kind of throwing this out here as far as I'm
Bill,
concerned.
you bring up a good point here. I mean, if the rumors we heard are true that the FCC will pull the licenses for these shell companies by the end of August, which would include Sky Rover, if they would pull the license and they would have to stop selling the Sky Rover on Amazon, my fear would be it wouldn't be too long before batteries and powers and accessories were very hard to find, and the Sky Rover support as far as repairs and things like that, and even firmware updates would slowly start to go away. So if you bought this drone in August, and what we hear true, they're going to pull the license by August of next year. I don't think you'll have any be able to buy any accessories. You'll not get any support. Maybe no firmware updates. Yeah, but Bill, it's one of those things. I mean, if your drone is flying well, like if you have no issues with the drone or whatever, I mean, do we really need all those bug fix firmwares that you don't even know what to fix, and sometimes it actually causes a new issue? I mean, this drone's already been out over a year now. It's not going to get any major new features or whatever, right? I mean, it already broadcasts remote ID, so it doesn't need to be upgraded for remote ID. I mean, you know, I don't know if the firmware updates forever is a big deal for a drone like this. Again, it's already past its peak as far as getting any feature upgrades.
Well, you know, and this is something that I wanted to bring up here. I think we can kind of separate the drone from the cameras. And the reason I'm going to do that is, you know, we're dealing kind of like with a couple of different products. The Sky Rover's been out for a while, all right? People know it. People know about it. People have had it. I personally had it. It's flown well. The video's great on it. There's no issues with it. And you bring up a good point. You know, there's going to not necessarily be a lot of need for firmware updates with this because it's a pretty stable platform. It does what it expects it to. It shoots in that, you know, whatever, you know, 60 frames per second at, you know, 4K. And, you know, it does what it's supposed to do, and it does it real well, and it's a stable platform as far as that's concerned. So, you know, conversely speaking, going to the cameras like the Muse, for example, all right, you know, being pretty much a clone of the Pocket 3, you know, it's probably still, the Pocket 3 is probably still going to get firmware updates, all right? And I think this is where
they're and stuff like that. I doubt whether the Pocket 3 is going to get any more new features added to it.
You're probably right, you know, and I'm thinking only
by the Pocket 4 in the line.
That's true. That's true. You know, I would think the only thing would be if there were like a critical error with the Pocket 3 that they'd come out with something. But other than that, I really don't think they'll probably do firmware updates.
All the critical error issues have been pretty much ironed out by this point.
Right. So for the things like the Muse and the Action Cam, you know, being able to buy things like comparable batteries for that and accessories, I think that probably kind of raises itself up a little bit higher than like firmware updates, because you want to still be able to use these devices, you know, say after a year or two, and you're going to need to replace batteries. You're going to need to have little cages, have the handheld, you know, devices to hold them onto, and things along those natures. So it's just these are just some things to think about. Now, you know, pricing on these things is very good for both the Muse and that Action Cam. I mean, that Action Cam's at $269. That's a fantastic price, but you got to weigh that with the fact.
You know, this is a great bargain here. $719 is far more combo, but we talked about this last week. I don't want to advise anybody out in the chat what to do, but you know, everything you just brought up about, you know, repair and firmware updates and propellers and batteries. If it was me, I'd probably buy that Mini 5 Pro for $683 or whatever, knowing that thing's going to be made over in China, you know, probably for another year or two or whatever, and things like batteries and propellers are still going to be available from people like Evelyn that'll ship to you from China. So I think you'll have a little, you'll safely have a few more years out of that thing than you would the Sky Rover X1, just because of
exactly. And you know, and that's a great point, Ron. And it also begs the fact, you know, you'll be able to get propellers for that, you'll be able to get batteries for that ad nauseum for the next couple of years. There's no and see that firmware update. There's going to be no, you know, there's nothing the FCC can do to stop these accessories. Okay, as far as like the batteries, as far as the propellers are concerned, at least I don't think there is. You know, so you'll still have access to be able to do that for like a Mini 5 Pro. And the way the prices have been on that would be the drone to get versus this one. Not that this isn't a good drone, but if you're going to be spending $719, you're real close to be able to get a Mini 5 Pro with an N3 controller, all right, with one battery, which is fantastic. And if you shop smartly out on eBay and know what you're doing, you can get batteries at a decent price out there, or you can, you know, contact our friend Evelyn. She might have a good deal on batteries. A lot of her prices on accessories kind of are hit and miss, and she said that I would check with her before going ahead and making anything. But that's kind of how I would approach something like this. And with the cameras, with like the Muse and that Action Cam, you know, again, you know, the whole thing with that is the accessories and being able to buy something like that. And being able to use something like that. I mean, you know, if you're fine with a limited amount of accessories and you're fine with, you know, not having firmware updates, you know, those might be good things for you. But With the prices on the Pocket 3 right now, if you're interested in getting a pocket camera, that would be something that I would highly recommend versus the Muse. And the action cam,
Of
that's
course,
kind of up in the air.
these things don't have replaceable batteries, so you can't replace the battery anyways in the Pocket 3 or the extra Muse. And the accessories were, I mean, half the people don't use ND filters or whatever. I mean, you'll be able to buy cases. I mean, the accessories aren't that big of a deal for these pocket cameras. Again, because I said the biggest one would be battery, but it's not replaceable.
Yeah.
And Bill, here begs another question: How did a U.S. drone ban somehow turn into a camera ban now?
That is a really good question, Ron. I don't know. I absolutely don't know. Because the only thing is, I've said before, as far as what the FCC is doing with it, and the whole reason that they have their hands in the cookie jar on the cameras are, it's the firmware updates. It's because they have a they have a Wi-Fi communication protocol to do the firmware updates, okay? If they didn't have that, like say on the Pocket 4 Pro or, the Pocket 4 Pro, if they didn't have that, then there wouldn't be an issue with that, all right? And also, I think probably part of the issue is Bluetooth, and it's kind of sort of airwave-ish kind of a thing as well too. And I'm not sure how much the FCC regulates like Bluetooth type of items. I would have to look into something like that. But being that it uses the airwaves, the FCC really kind of has domain over that here in the United States. So, if it didn't do these firmware updates over Wi-Fi, I think that's kind of like the stopping point as far as the FCC is concerned, saying, data can be transmitted. Oops, we can't really have that. It's a national security concern for whatever there are arbitrary reasons are regarding that. So I really think you hit a good point there. And I really think like the Pocket 4 Pro would be here in the United States if you had to say manually put a cable into it and hook it up to your laptop or PC or your Mac and do the firmware update versus like an over-the-air firmware update. I really think that's probably the big difference.
And as right now, we're just speculating, Bill. No DJI device at this point has not been able to do a firmware update because of these issues.
Right.
FCC.
Exactly.
So we're talking stuff that may never happen.
Exactly. I mean, there's nobody knows about that. But I think one of the things that I'm trying to drive home with that point is, and I want to make sure people understand something here. Okay, communication protocols. Wi-Fi is a communication protocol, and those are it uses part of the airwaves. All right, and because it uses the airwaves, the FCC regulates something like that. All right. What I'm saying is, like with the Pocket 4 Pro or let's say the Pocket cameras in general. All right. Why the Pocket 4 Pro is on that covered entities list, it's because it uses Wi-Fi. Okay, if it did not use Wi-Fi and you had to plug a cable in to do something like that, and you would be fine. It would not be on a covered list because the FCC wouldn't have approval authority over something like that.
Of course, they don't want drones here. They'd find another way to ban. Another organization would find a way to ban. They want to ban. They'll figure out a way. The FCC.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ron. If there's a will, there's a way, and I think they would find a way to do something like that and be able to find a ban for something like that, which is a shame because the more I'm reading about the Pocket 4 Pro, one of the things that I covered before you came on is that little supposed, if you want to call it for lack of a better term, the remote that helps set you up, and you can do changes on the fly. There's a little screen on it. You can track me with that and everything. It's fantastic to be able to have something like that, and that device. And seriously, if it were here after reading that article, I would probably go ahead and take a dive and probably get something buy it after reading something like that because I'm really enjoying what I'm reading, and also too the footage that I've seen. There's a couple reviews out on one on Drone DJ, one on Drone XL. Sean did one from Air Photography as well. Great reviews on it. It's a great camera.
Bill, let's remind people the Pocket 4 Pro just got its global release last week, so that's why we're seeing a flood of reviews from
Right,
North
right.
American reviewers now.
It's out there. It's out for everybody but us. Okay, it's really a shame. And here we're going to kind of go back, and I'm going to be dredging up some old stuff here, but we're going back. What other country on earth has a national security concern with DJI and is banning drones? Okay, really, there's nobody else.
We're the only country somehow that can find this information, and we don't share it with other countries. If this is so bad, we're not sharing this information with other countries. Hey, Bill, did you mention earlier today was the global release for the DJI Mini 2S? Today was the global release for it. So,
okay.
They put their promo video out at like at 8 or 9 this morning. I did not see a whole bunch of influencers do the reviews, but I probably didn't look later in the day. They're probably coming up now, whatever. So
you're probably right. I hadn't seen them as well. I knew that, but I hadn't seen a lot of the reviews because I spent a lot of my day going out to Drone XL, to Drone DJ, and also I looked through my Google alerts that I have of other articles from tech magazines online, and I didn't see anything about that as far as that's concerned. So
Oh, and another thing today, Insta360, they dropped a teaser for the Insta360 X6. That is their flagship 360 camera, and it's being released on August 12th. It's right in their promo video.
Okay.
They supposedly some shops sold one already by mistake, even though the box, but they still didn't give us a whole bunch of specs. Like I don't know if I'm buying that story. If you have the box, why don't we get more specs? We know it has 8K 360 video, but they all have 8K 360.
That's all.
Learn anything that all the other 360 cameras all don't have right now. So. But
now, isn't it? Was I right or wrong? Was it listed on Best Buy already?
I haven't heard that. It was sold by some store I never heard of in a foreign country. Some store.
Okay, all right.
But, yeah, I haven't heard anything about Best Buy. But again, that's 12's only 8 days away. So let's see. Like, is that next Wednesday or something like that? That's coming?
Yeah, that would be next Wednesday. That would be the what? Not today before. That'd be the 12th.
And supposedly the articles from yesterday, the influencers already have it. They'll be able to put their reviews out next week. So we'll the show next Tuesday we'll still only know leaks of rumors, but the following show we should have the full rundown on the camera.
Yeah, I'll be very interesting to see where it lands.
Well, what they said? It has replaceable lenses .2.0. Like, it isn't a replaceable lens just a replaceable lens. Do we really need the V2 of replaceable lens? Are these more replaceable than last year's replaceable lenses? That's kind of funny.
Yeah, 2.0. That's a real good point. So that's really interesting. So
and that product also, Bill, has already received its FCC approval. Even though some cameras are getting banned, Insta360 is having no trouble. It's all backed up. I said this. They're out to put DJI out of business. Whether they're selling drones, cameras, mics, power banks, they don't care. If DJI sold give me something. If they sold an ice cream maker, they'd be willing to pull the FCC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. They're copying everything. It really is almost comical, so to speak, in terms of and I bet they're having a blast, so to speak. Not really, but over in court over in China, trying to find out who stole what and who did what first and all that kind of good stuff. It's like, oh, they did that first. No, we did that first. That's our patent. No, that's our patent. We had it out first. No, we had it out. That kind of stuff. That left the U.S. courts and went over to the Chinese courts, and good luck trying to figure that one out. That's wow. I have no idea. No idea on that. Well,
I wonder if the Chinese judges even wear robes or something, or
Yeah, that's real true. I kind of think of how they do court over in England, where the judges and the lawyers and prosecutors wear wigs like they did back in the 1800s. So.
Bill, I got a good hypothetical for you. So, say you go to the court over in China, the Insta360 DJI. What if Insta360 wins that case or whatever? Won't that prove that the government actually the DJI is not the government then? If beat in court, won't that prove that the government isn't?
That's a real good question, Ron. That's a real good question. I mean, if they do win, and that's a very it's a very real possibility here. All right, that'll really say a lot as far as that's concerned, and it's gonna have those that are the powers that be here in the United States kind of scrambling to come up to figure out something to say about it.
Right, Vincent 360 wins that.
And then all of a sudden,
if it's true that the government owns DJI, or Chinese military, or whatever, they'll just go up and tell the judge, well, you just go ahead and roll against the 360. Don't even listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, it would be a dog and pony show, and next thing you know, it's we find in favor of DJI, court adjourned. You can leave now, kind of a thing. But if it is like what you just said, if it's a real court and they really decide for Insta360, okay, that's going to send shockwaves over here because they're not going to know how to handle something like that. They're going to say, is the response that you're going to get over here, because they won't be prepared for it if that's the case. And I'll say this, and this is just, I've never owned an Insta360 product, but they make quality products, Ron. They really do. On a general scale here.
Yeah, I mean,
some of them
we're kind of in a bad position on drones because we can't get DJI drones, and it's a shame we can't get great cameras like the Pocket 4 Pro and whatever else DJI was going to lose as a camera. But I mean, if you have to get by with the Luna Ultra, I mean, you're still walking around with a high class camera or their 360 cameras. Their products, even if they're not as good as DJI, they're neck and neck or whatever. They're right there.
Exactly. You're spot on with that. My only hope is, here's one of my hopes, and we'll call that, the anti-gravity A1 with Insta360, the partnership that they have there is fantastic. Okay, but guys, if you're listening, hello, get that controller out. Okay, now would be a good time, like in the next week or so. I'm being serious on that, because I think they really have something with that. Okay, and I know Phil with DD Fellows, when he spent some time with Valerie and I at the meetup, and he was showing us his footage, Ron, my jaw dropped. I was just beside myself looking at that, and I'm like, you know what? They need to get a regular controller for that. All right, they really do. I mean, it begs and it screams to have a regular controller, and we've talked about it before. That price is going to drop. It's going to be very reasonable to own, to purchase, and to fly for a lot of people like me who can't fly and do the goggles thing. And I know Marcus can't really do that as well either. That's just something. And then to branch out, not only just to do the Insta360 version of that, but maybe do a normal camera version of that as well too. And to have something under 250 grams, kind of a thing. To have something to get the market out there, because it's garnered, the anti-gravity A1 has garnered a lot of positive attention, which is really good. And I'm hoping that they continue on that theme, Ron, and I hope they continue to pursue that, because that's really kind of like our only avenue right now for hopes of getting a new drone in the United States. It's not an American, quote unquote, American-made one. What are your thoughts about that?
They're saying my mic's too quiet, and guys, I think it's the settings in StreamYard. I got on late, and Bill put me right in, so I didn't have a chance to play with the settings, and the show's almost over. So if I go into the settings, I won't make it back. So I'll try to correct it for the next one. But I watched a Dad Random video on the anti-gravity A1 drone, and I made a comment about it. He asked me, he said, "Are you thinking about getting the A1?" And I said to him, "Only if they release a standard controller."
Yeah.
And we had Eddie Nunes on the show last time. We asked Eddie, Avata 360 or anti-gravity A1, and he kind of leaned towards the A1.
Wow. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Bill, can you hear me? Am I loud enough talking to you?
I can hear you. I know. I saw Marcus made some comments. Dr. Ted made some comments. It's a little low, but I can hear you. I'm not having a problem with that.
Yeah, my hardware settings on my mic are correct. I think it's in the software, but like I said, the show's almost over. So if I go to the software, the show's over. So I'll just try to talk louder for a few minutes.
Yeah, we're kind of getting ready to wrap things up as it is right now, and I hope I gave everybody, and I hope we gave everybody some kind of a background and an education on, number one, on these DJI clones, if you want to call them, if you will, these shell companies that they have and the products that they have, and go over it in your head. I mean, you don't let Ron and I make that decision for you. If it's something that you want to get, if you really have your heart set on the Sky Rover, get it. I mean, it's going to be a good drone. Just be wise in terms of maybe being able to get some batteries and propellers while you can before the FCC makes a decision at the end of this month. And for those of you that are considering the extra products as well, same thing. I would caution you. If you need to get batteries or other extra accessories for them, do that while you can. The accessories will probably still be available, but the actual cameras won't. So if that's something that you have your heart set on, go ahead and pursue something like that. I don't want to ever stifle you guys from being creative with something like that, because it could really be a great product for you.
You could buy that. You could buy the X1 and the 3 batteries and the props. You may be good 5 years from now. I mean, you just never know.
Yeah, you never know with something like that. So there are options out there. Just we want to let everybody know that as far as that's concerned. The FCC is not going to be doing anything till the end of the month, so you have some time as far as that's concerned. So that'll kind of give you a cause to pause right there, and be able to think about something like that. Any other closing thoughts, Ron, before we wrap things up?
No. Again, it's been a busy couple of days with the Insta360 X6, the DJI mic. We saw a lot on the Pocket 4 Pro. We saw the rumors of the Hoververse. There's a lot going on. A lot of stuff that we may not see legally sold in the U.S. because of the non-FCC approval. But a lot of interesting products, and it's interesting times. The shell company thing doesn't surprise me. Bill, we kind of all knew sooner or later that they would catch up with these shell companies, so it didn't come as a shock. But it's still not, it's still not fun to see. So, folks, it's August now. We're right in the main part of summer for a lot of us. So instead of worrying about all the stuff Bill and I talk about, get out there and fly the drones you have now and have a good time. Capture some good video and post those videos to Bill the Drone Reviewer Facebook group and Drone Nation Facebook group. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We say it week in and week out, and I hope we don't sound like a broken record. But, the thing about this hobby that we all love to do is to get out there and fly. And Bill Thomas really nailed it when he named his channel and he called it Drone Therapy, because it really is. And kudos to you, Bill, for coming up with that name, because it really is. When you get out there and fly, whether you're doing it for business or doing it for fun or doing it just because you can get out there and do it, you enjoy yourself. And I know myself personally, I get out there, even though I'm doing it for the channel and a video for the channel, I'm still enjoying myself. I'm still having a good time. It's just like the weather's just been really crazy here lately. And it's really kind of more bordered on where it's getting almost too much rain the past few weeks. So that's been more of a deterrent from getting outside and flying than the temperature has been lately. So, but all in all, get out there, enjoy yourself, have fun, fly. If you want to make your decision about some of these things, items from shell companies, do it, okay? Just be mindful of having enough accessories to last you for the long haul. That's the only caution that I would have with something like that. And again, I want to thank all you guys for stopping by each and every week. Ron appreciates it. I appreciate it. The crew of Drone Nation appreciate it. Bill Thomas's show. Ray's show, Johnny's show, all of them. Get out there and enjoy these shows. Have a good time. Have fun. And also, too, football's right around the corner. It's August. September's coming up. So,
oh boy,
we'll be bringing back
the return of Steeler Nation.
We'll be bringing back Steeler Nation coming up in September. So look out. The Mike McCarthy era is about to descend upon us. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your week. As always, it's a great day to fly. Take care. We'll see you later.